Long, long ago, in a tiny hut beside the bright blue sea, there lived a fisherman and his wife. Their little home was so small that when the fisherman stretched his arms, he could almost touch both walls at once. The roof was crooked, the windows rattled on windy nights, and the door stuck so badly that it took a great push to open it. Still, the fisherman was a cheerful man. Every morning, he walked down to the beach with his rod in line, ready to greet whatever the sea would give him. One sunny morning, the waves sparkled like silver coins scattered across the water. The fisherman cast his line and waited. He waited so long that the sun climbed high into the sky, and he began to think he might spend the whole day catching nothing at all. But just then, tug! Something pulled hard. The fisherman grabbed his rod with both hands. Tug, tug, tug! Oh my, he gasped. This must be the biggest fish in the whole sea. He pulled with all his strength. At last, out of the water came the most extraordinary fish he had ever seen. A shining flounder with golden scales that glimmered like polished coins. The fish's eyes were bright, and they looked right into his dot before the fisherman could say a word. The flounder spoke. "Please let me live," said the flounder in a gentle voice. "I am no ordinary fish. I am an enchanted prince. If you spare me, I will swim away and trouble you no more. Release me, and you shall have whatever your heart desires." The fisherman was so surprised that he nearly dropped the poor flounder back into the water. A talking fish and an enchanted prince. "Well," he said at last, "if you truly are a prince, it would be wrong to keep you. Go on then, you are free." He lowered the flounder carefully into the waves and watched it disappear beneath the surface with a shimmer of gold. The fisherman went home feeling proud of his good deed. But when his wife heard about it, she jumped to her feet. "You let an enchanted prince go just like that, and you didn't ask for anything. Not even a better place to live." The fisherman shrugged. "I didn't want anything." His wife crossed her arms. "Well, I want something. Go back and ask the flounder for a nice little cottage. I'm tired of living in this old hut." The fisherman didn't like the idea of bothering the fish again, but he loved his wife and didn't want to argue. So he walked back to the sea. The water was calm and blue, just as it had been that morning. He called out, "Flounder, flounder in the sea, please come listen unto me. My wife has sent me back to thee." Almost at once the golden fish rose from the water. "What does your wife want?" asked the flounder. The fisherman shuffled his feet. "She would like a small comfortable cottage. Go home," said the flounder. "She has it already." The fisherman hurried back. And sure enough, where the old shaky hut had been, there now stood a cozy cottage with smooth wooden walls, windows that sparkled in the sun, and a neat little chimney with smoke curling out of it like a ribbon. His wife was already inside, opening cupboards and peeking into every room. "Look at this," she said proudly. "It's beautiful." But soon she tapped her chin thoughtfully. "A cottage is nice, but a bigger house would be better. Something with more rooms, maybe even servants." The fisherman sighed. "We should be grateful for what we have, but think how wonderful a grand palace would be," she insisted. "Go ask the flounder." The fisherman trudged back to the sea. This time the sky was cloudy and the waves were rolling a little harder. He called, "Flounder, flounder in the sea, please come listen unto me. My wife has sent me back to thee." The flounder rose again. "What does your wife want now?" "She wants a palace," he said quietly. "Go home," said the flounder. "She has it already." And she did. Towering where the cottage had stood was a magnificent palace with tall marble columns, shining windows, and gardens filled with fountains that danced with sparkling water. Servants hurried about bowing whenever the fisherman walked by. Even though he still wore his old patched coat, his wife sat on a golden chair wearing a velvet gown. "Ah, this is better," she said happily. But only after a day she began pacing. "You know," she said, "a palace is grand, but being queen would be even better. Imagine people bowing to me." Go ask the flounder. The fisherman felt his heart sink, but he went again. This time the sea was darker and restless. He called again. The flounder rose and asked, "What does she want now?" "She desires to be queen," said the fisherman. "Go home," said the flounder. "She is queen already." And she was. The palace had grown even grander with banners flying from its towers. Inside, she sat on a high throne wearing a crown sparkling with jewels while guards and servants knelt around her. For a few days she was pleased at, but soon she said, "Being queen is lovely, but I want more. I want to be empress, ruler over all the lands." Again the fisherman went back to the sea. The sea roared and the wind howled. He called the flounder again. "She wants to be empress," he said. "Go home," replied the flounder. "She is empress already." And so she was. But even that was not enough. One stormy night she declared, "I want to command the sun and the moon. I want to rule the universe." The fisherman was horrified, but he went to the sea one last time. Lightning flashed and the sea boiled with giant waves. He called the flounder. "What does she want now?" asked the fish. "She wants to command the sun and moon." For a long moment the flounder said nothing. Then it slowly sank beneath the waves. The fisherman walked home through the storm, but when he reached the place where the enormous palace had stood, there was nothing, only the tiny old hut with its crooked roof and rattling windows. Just as before, inside his wife sat on a wobbly stool looking around in disbelief. And so the fisherman and his wife lived again in their humble hut by the sea. The fisherman continued fishing every morning, grateful for what he had. And slowly his wife learned to be content with the simple life they shared.